Coming up next on Making Moves, the Skyway sees near record numbers as thousands pack downtown for the One Spark Festival. We'll break down those numbers. We'll introduce you to JTA's newest board member and find out how his tech background is paying early dividends for the agency. And a complete overhaul of Jacksonville's bus system is just months away. Find out how JTA plans to do it. I'm Terry Casey. We'll have those stories and a surprise guest right now on Making Moves. Hello, and thanks for joining us again on Making Moves. I'm Terry Casey. We're beginning with the One Spark Crowdfunding Festival. In just its second year, the event has grown to extraordinary heights. This year, more than 250,000 people visited downtown Jacksonville for One Spark, far exceeding expectations of festival organizers and really everybody else. And the visitors generated 91,000 trips on the Skyway in just 4.5 days. That total is second only to Super Bowl 39, held in February of 2005. To say that One Spark and the Skyway make great partners, that's a bit of an understatement.
You know, I thought it was really cool, like just Jacksonville having some form of public transit that worked very efficiently, because it was very efficient in how it got us to downtown, so I was happy.
I got on it, it was easy peasy, it was like a big city, and having been born here, I have not always seen it as like a big city, so it was great. It was clean, it was air conditioned, it was really, really nice, easy to navigate.
It's just easier for us. I mean, we don't have to worry about parking. We park at a central station, and then it's central location, and it's easy for us to just go from place to place. And walkability is good with the Skyway, with the JTA.
Just park and go. That's what it's about, right? And getting down here.
No, the way that they have it set up down there, they have someone there making sure that no one is skipping the lines or doing those kind of things. But we really enjoyed it, and we really only stayed in line maybe about 10 minutes.
In March, JTA bus operator Farfan won the Jacksonville Bus Rodeo for a 6th consecutive time, besting 8 other drivers in a series of difficult bus handling skills. That victory sent Farfan to Daytona, where he would attempt to defend his 2013 State Bus Rodeo Championship against the best bus operators from transit authorities across Florida. After a tough day of competition, Farfan left Daytona as champion once again, the best bus operator in the state of Florida. He is now headed to the International Rodeo Competition, an event he won back in 2012.
It's going to be each driver from a different agency, and they're all good. It's going to be the same guys that have been competing for years also, and they're all good. It's a higher level of a competition.
Congratulations to Ramon, and good luck at the international competition. You better know that we're all pulling for you. We'll have more from the Jacksonville Bus Rodeo a little bit later on Making Moves. Well, over the years, the JTA has worked, reworked, and tweaked bus and shuttle routes, searching for a way to make them more efficient and to run on time, among other things. The efforts did help, but not nearly enough. The problem is that the transit system is operating on antiquated guidelines. JTA leaders say the answer lies with a new plan that will bring major change. And this is a big deal, because if you use the Jacksonville transit system, you will be affected by it. But you will also get a chance to have a say in it.
It's going to impact all of our customers. Everybody from our express riders who do commuter services to people who ride just a daily local service, it's going to impact everyone.
Bus routes, route names, even bus stops will be changed. Ivan Mitchell is a project coordinator and specialist in route planning and bus stop location.
We're looking to change the location of bus stops as well as remove some bus stops, because we've heard from our operators, we've heard from customers, we've heard from a lot of people saying at some locations or some stretches of road, there's just way too many bus stops out there. So we're looking to do consolidation. However, though, we also want to improve bus stops. We've cataloged close to about 4,100 bus stops that the JTA has in order for us to make those decisions on what we need to do to each stop.
How do you come up with a bus route?
One thing that I always look at is who are we serving along this corridor, this route. So you look for employment centers, you might look for senior centers, you look for educational facilities, sometimes you look at demographic numbers. So you look at several factors when determining if an area qualifies and if it's going to generate reasonable ridership.
Overall, says Mitchell, it's about improvement. And Senior Manager of System Planning, Carl Weckenman, couldn't agree more.
The changes as part of this project will encompass all of our bus and community shuttle services. We're looking to make our service simpler to use, more frequent, more direct, and more reliable for our customers. We call it the Route Optimization Project.
The massive JTA project would also change the names of bus routes.
We're looking to go to numbers, which is common in the transit industry.
Remember all the talk about BRT, as in Bus Rapid Transit? The plan includes starting on it this year, calling it the First Coast Flyer, and putting it on a map of proposed routes.
The blue lines here represent our BRT system, running along Lim Turner, the second down Phillips Highway, out to the beach along Southside and Beach Boulevard, and then down to the southwest along Blanding Boulevard to Orange Park.
On another front, JTA is moving to eliminate on-time performance issues.
We're monitoring routes right now to improve the on-time performance of our bus routes.
And it's up measurably on at least a dozen routes where it had been a problem. Now, time is an element guys like Carl and Ivan are building into the new routes and schedules. But why all this now? Because it's been 30 years since the JTA made changes like these in its route structure. And when will it happen? Implementation of it all is set for November 24th this year. It will not be phased in.
We feel that phased implementation will simply create more and more discomfort with our passengers, once rather than again and again.
Nothing about this plan is set in stone, not yet. JTA wants and needs your input to help them fit the pieces together so they can then set it all in motion.
So we're going to be reaching out to the public in the near future. We're going to be holding sessions at some of our major hubs.
We can make this a plan that they can feel ownership in and that will serve their needs best.
I think the more we talk to people, the more people will start to feel comfortable with what we're doing.
What's the bottom line? Ivan Mitchell sums it up this way.
We've done an analysis and we realized what we have in the streets today really isn't working to serve Jacksonville.
And joining us now to talk more about that route optimization as well as his Blueprint 2020 plan is JTA CEO Nat Ford. So great to have you back on Making Moves.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate having the opportunity to be here.
All right, first question is, why did you think that a total revamp, sweeping change of the existing system was so important?
Well, I took the time to talk to our customers and talk to a lot of folks who are not our customers about the JTA route structure in our system, and some of the consistent concerns or complaints that we've had is related to the number of transfers that we have in the system, that our route structure isn't very direct. So if you're traveling from point A to point B, we sometimes take you in a very indirect route to get from point A to point B, that our system is rather slow. And that it's difficult for people to, time, and reliability is an issue too, and it was difficult for people to utilize our system. The system revamp is really taking a look at a route structure that was developed almost 30 years ago and updating it to the travel patterns, the origins and destinations of where our passengers are being picked up and where they want to go. Work locations have changed over 30 years. Where our educational centers have changed over 30 years.
Seems like almost everything has
exactly.
changed in that
I mean, nothing has stayed the same in a 30-year time frame. So it is appropriate and it's timely that we look at a major revamp, not just making some changes on the edges, but really a total system revamp, making the system more direct, more effective, more efficient, more customer friendly, and taking people not where we want the buses to go, but where they want the buses to go.
Customer friendly is good.
Yes,
and I
that's
think
right.
you've alluded to the fact that this is not, route optimization that is not a single initiative. There's a number of components to it.
Yes.
Can you explain those?
Well, another thing that we found out in terms of our research is that customers are looking for a system that's easy to understand and easy to use in this day and age. And we're going to use new technology. Most recently, we've put real-time passenger information system on the AR6 route, where people are able to either use their smartphone and look on the internet and see exactly where buses are located in relationship to the bus stop they're at, so they know when the next bus is arriving. You can also call in or text and get that real-time information. In conjunction with the system revamp that's going to happen in November of this year, we will also roll out real-time passenger information system-wide. So for people who are not familiar with our system, they will be able to quickly understand it and be able to have those tools at their disposal.
And finally, I'm going now to the BRT, finally some solid progress in that area.
That's right. In terms of our BRT program, we are going to begin construction in the downtown corridor. Our BRT system will have a northern route and a southeast route. And again, getting to a faster, quicker trip for our customers so that they are spending less time on the bus and more time doing what they want, either going to the doctor, going to work, or getting home to their loved ones.
What about converting the buses to compressed natural gas? Tell me a little bit about that, the whys and wherefores and benefits.
Well, one thing that we also looked at in terms of just our route system, our bus system, is that our actual cost for our trip and cost per passenger. And one of the major factors in that cost is the cost of fuel. And diesel fuel is, constantly increasing along with gasoline in terms of fuel costs. And to keep our fares as low as possible and reduce our expenses, we are going to be converting our bus fleet from a diesel fuel fleet to a compressed natural gas fleet. Not 100% of our buses, but about 100 buses over the next 5 years will be converted to compressed natural gas, and we expect to save at least $1 million a year in fuel savings. And that will allow us to reinvest in the system, to add more buses, to add more routes, and keep the fare as low as possible in terms of our operation.
I want to rewind just a hair here. Can you tell me, regarding the BRT, what the BRT offers or will offer that the existing system does not?
Simply, it's a faster trip. In our high capacity corridors where we have high ridership and a great deal of density, we need to move the vehicles and our passengers faster. And by using our bus rapid transit system, passengers will be able to bypass a lot of the local stops that are made in a corridor, so their trip gets shortened. At the bus stop, we will actually invest a great deal more infrastructure. They'll be able to purchase a ticket at that bus stop. They'll be able to have real-time passenger information to know when the next bus is arriving, and we will be able to quickly deliver them from point A to point B. It's all about speed. It's all about time. As these corridors develop, they develop the opportunity to look at rail, light rail sometime in the future. But this is an immediate solution right now for those heavy travel corridors where we're losing a lot of travel time. Dedicated lanes are part of the bus rapid transit program, so we don't have the conflict between automobiles and the buses. We have transit signal priority in these corridors, so the traffic signals actually sense when a bus is arriving and keeps that signal green. So it's all about speed.
So what happens if, at that point, if the signal stays green for the buses, it'd be nice to creep into that lane behind the bus and catch all the green lights.
Well, that's why it's dedicated lanes for our buses. However, it has been seen over through these types of programs that actual automobile traffic movement is also improved because of the timing of the lights and things of that nature.
So how do you let everyone out there, not in addition to those who may be watching right now, but how do you let the general public know about all of these changes?
Well, we have an unprecedented level of public outreach that's going on right now. We've set up citizen advisory group meetings almost on a weekly basis in different parts of our county and the city. We're holding meetings with customers, with stakeholders, to advise them not only about the route restructuring, but all of the different initiatives that the JTA is undertaking. And I know we just hit on a few of them here, but there's a lot more to come.
There are, and welcome changes, I believe,
Yes.
will be the verdict finally rendered. Before I let you go, however,
Yes.
One Spark, the second edition of One Spark,
Yes.
has wrapped up now, and the Skyway had made 90,000 trips during that 4 or 5 day run of the festival, second only to the Super Bowl.
That's right.
So this has got to be a confidence builder for you, particularly since JTA is looking at expanding the Skyway out into Brooklyn.
Yes, in fact, we are excited. We are ecstatic about the performance of the Skyway. It's clear that it is a necessary component for a successful downtown revitalization. The question has been answered. So we need to look at how we can better leverage the infrastructure that was built almost 20 plus years ago. We are working on that Brooklyn station application as we speak, and the deadline will be April 28th. And we will get that application in on time. And we're working with the federal government. In fact, last week I was in D.C. working with the federal government to bolster up our application and make sure that we have a good opportunity to bring those dollars home and build that station.
And JTA, another feather in its cap, thanks to Ramon Farfan, the
Yes, sir.
now two-time state bus rodeo champion. You know, we need to just sort of give a shout out to Ramon and say thank you.
Our operators, Ramon is clearly our champion at the local level, the state level, and we'll be sending him to the international competition in Kansas City later this year. He is a representative of all our operators. I believe they're all champions. They do a fine job, and I had an opportunity during the competition to drive one of our buses, and it's...
And how did that go?
Oh, it didn't go...
That's what I thought.
I think I should stay with my day job and continue what I do, but they have a very difficult job, and they impress me every day with the fine work that they're doing.
Well, that's great. Listen, thank you so much for taking the time again to join us on Making Moves. We look forward to seeing you next time, and hopefully that'll be soon.
That will be soon.
CEO Nat Ford, have a great day, too.
Thank you.
Up next, we'll meet the newest member of the JTA Board of Directors, Kevin Holzendorf, and find out what he brings to the authority's leadership group.
We want people to get out of their cars, and we want people to use our services. And so for us to be able to do that, we have to be responsive to what the citizens want.
Then later, one man's mission to end distracted driving. Welcome back to Making Moves. The JTA recently hosted a delegation from the Jamaica Urban Transit Company. The Jamaican group was in town to see firsthand how the Jacksonville transit system works. The delegation was briefed on several of the agency's operating systems and initiatives and was given a campus tour. The makeup of the JTA Board of Directors has undergone some changes over the past several months. Last September, Mayor Alvin Brown appointed lifelong Jacksonville resident Kevin Holzendorf to serve on the JTA board. Holzendorf eagerly accepted the appointment and is now in his 7th month of service. Making Moves' Eugene Lindsay recently sat down with Mr. Holzendorf to learn more about his life and his vision for mass transit here on the First Coast.
Meet Kevin Holzendorf, the newest member of the JTA's Board of Directors. Holzendorf was born, raised, and educated right here in Jacksonville, and he couldn't be prouder to be from this city, and he really have no plans to ever leave the place he calls home.
I love Jacksonville. I fought very hard to stay in Jacksonville. You know, career-wise, you know, everybody wants to pluck talent away from Jacksonville, and I think that becomes one of our things, too, of how do we keep local talent here in Jacksonville.
After graduating from the University of North Florida with a bachelor's degree in accounting and a master's in public administration, Holzendorf has worked in both the public and private sectors. He's currently a partner with Southern Strategy Group, a lobbying and consulting firm where he primarily handles finance, technology, and process improvement.
Everything you do at some point in time will interact with government. And so what I love about what we do here is we help people do business with government that, it's easier. So we help move out the red tape.
And working with the government here in Jacksonville is something Holzendorf is very familiar with. During Mayor Payton's administration, he served as the Director of Operation Excellence, overseeing performance auditing and management accountability. He then went on to serve as the Director of Information Technology and as Chief Information Officer. And it was that kind of experience and commitment to the city that attracted Mayor Brown's attention when it came to appointing a new person to hold the seat on the JTA Board of Directors. Holzendorf says the opportunity to serve is an opportunity to give back to an agency that began serving him years ago.
Growing up here in Jacksonville, I took JTA. I rode 36B Moncrief, from school to home. So it was such an honor that I could get to be involved in, something that was pretty integral in my life when I was a kid here in Jacksonville.
Holzendorf says that as Northeast Florida continues its population boom, mass transit will play a vital role in its success.
The city of Jacksonville, being the largest city land-wise in the United States, the JTA has an incredible opportunity to really impact lives because it's all about transportation. How do we get to location? How do we get to services? How do we get to be involved to the places where decisions are being made? My background, my history has been in finance, also in technology. I think my background with what I've done, really lends to being able to bring something to the table to the board.
And while JTA is currently in the middle of exploring several major initiatives, projects like bus rapid transit, regional transportation, the use of compressed natural gas, and the on-time performance of its service, Holzendorf says he believes the agency is definitely moving in the right direction.
I think we're on the right track. I think, one of the good things about, that we're not first and then we're not last. We're right there in that sweet spot to where we can learn from the mistakes that others have had, but we're not lagging behind to where we're just being followers. We also have an opportunity that we can also be, trendsetters.
And as for his vision of mass transit here on the First Coast?
The possibility is endless, and so I think that's what's great. I think we are such a diamond in the rough, to see from the foundation that we've laid to the future that we can have is pretty great. In an ideal world here in Jacksonville, I want to make sure that we're connecting the dots so that everyone, before they even think of getting in their car, they think of the transit system. I think that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see more people parking cars, more people, taking the bus system, taking the Skyway Express, and like you said, being choice riders. I think that becomes that beautiful transportation world.
In Jacksonville, Eugene Lindsay, JTA, making moves.
A local attorney continues his mission to lower the number of those who drive while distracted. April was Distracted Drivers Awareness Month, and attorney Wayne Hogan was out bringing his safety message to drivers through an awareness campaign with local companies and organizations. Our daily commute can easily turn dangerous when we don't pay attention to the routine distractions. I'm talking about things like cell phones, radios, the GPS, eating, even grooming while you're driving. Staff members from the Big Brothers, Big Sisters organizations are learning more about the growing problem than they ever imagined, including some real consequences to companies. Knowledge is power, and that's why Warren Grimes, the CEO, thought it important to expose his employees.
And I thought, wow, this is something that could really be impactful for our folks. They're out on the road a lot. They're going from school to school, or they're going to site visits. And so with the fact that they're on the road that much, And most of our folks, as you've seen, are of a younger generation.
I didn't realize that, we make 200 observations in the course of driving a mile. And I will, be honest and say that I am guilty of being a distracted driver probably more times than I'm not. So learning, that there's all these things that go on the road that although I might be using my speakerphone on my phone, I'm still missing, cars coming onto my lane, or cars maybe drifting back and forth in my lane, or even impaired vehicles off to the road that can become a distraction at times. So for me, I've learned that it's really not that important to take the call or the text.
Wayne Hogan is taking that program to schools during prom and graduation season. He admits, though, that he has expanded to include businesses and is urging them to adopt cell phone policies for their employees.
They need to know that they are at risk, that if they haven't had an accident and they've been on the phone, they've just been lucky. But we also want their employers and the companies to know it's important to have a policy in place against the use of these devices in the car, because the only job that a driver has is driving the vehicle from point A to point B safely.
If you'd like to have a student or employee presentation on distracted driving, all you have to do is contact Mr. Wayne Hogan. Still to come on Making Moves, just how hard is it to maneuver a 40-foot bus through a maze of obstacles? We'll talk to some of the competitors of the Jacksonville Bus Rodeo. That's next, so keep it right here.
When we walk together, we are bigger than cancer. Join the American Cancer Society Relay for Life and let's finish the fight. Sign up at relayforlife.org.
Welcome back to Making Moves, and you'll recall we told you earlier in the program that JTA's Ramon Farfan won the annual Jacksonville Bus Rodeo for the 6th time. Well, that isn't all. He also went on to Daytona and beat bus operators from all over Florida to win his 2nd consecutive state championship. Despite Farfan's remarkable success, though, it didn't stop the other professional drivers at JTA, both new and old, from getting behind the wheel and trying to take down the champ.
Oh, it's tough. It is tough. The two guys ahead of me, they are excellent.
A little nerve-wracking, but all in all, it was a experience.
Because it's testing your skills. It's trying to see your capabilities of missing objects and paying attention closely while you're on the road.
And this is always good competition.
JTA's maintenance team of Randy McDuffie, Tommy Cruz, and James Ratliff finished 4th overall in the state competition, and they'll join Farfan at the International Rodeo in Kansas City. And that wraps up this edition of Making Moves. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. Now remember, you can catch complete episodes of Making Moves online at jtafla.com, as well as on our YouTube channel, JTA 904. You can also find exclusive web-only content on our Facebook page, so be sure to check that out as well at facebook.com/JTA Making Moves. Now for the entire Making Moves team, I'm Terry Casey, and we're going to leave you now with some more sights and sounds from the 2014 edition of One Spark. See you next time. We're Making Moves.